floor covering retailer, again, calls you up on the phone, says, Manny, come on out and see me here. I'm interested in getting involved in this. I'm sure there are basic commitments that they're going to have to make to do a respectable job in terms of the money up front that they're willing to invest, the amount of floor space that they're, that they have to dedicate towards this this product, personnel, and so on. Do you have rules of thumb in that area when you're talking with a retailer?
Again, I think that each circumstance is different. My feeling is that anything less than 750 or 1,000 square feet is really too little to be able to properly show this category. And of course, the larger the store gets, the more space that it would be looked at. It's interesting that a lot of dealers are calling me, and I think they've become aware of the fact that they're over-assorted in carpets, that their store has too much space that has been given to that area. And so I'm getting a tremendous amount of calls saying, hey, I realize that I'm over-assorted on my floor in the soft surface. Can you help me develop a plan for sort of easing back on that a little bit and growing the hard surface areas in tile and stone? And so we'll sit down, we'll talk about those investments. Something that's unique to MSI, we are unafraid to custom merchandise a store, whether it's developing certain concept boards, whether it's developing the type of vehicles that will be right for them. So we are unafraid of creating that sort of one-on-one investment for the right partnership opportunity. And then we go forward and help them develop and grow the business internally, whether it's helping them with their training, whether it's helping them with their websites. There's a lot of ways that we can help them grow the business beyond just merchandising.
Yeah. Well, I guess showing it like you've done in your showroom here, it's on the floor everywhere. And I suppose that's really, maybe not to the extent you have here, but to some extent in a retail floor covering store, the more you can show in use on the wall or on the floor, probably the more you're going to sell.
There's no question, and the one thing that I would certain caution, something that's been true throughout my career, is being concerned about this concept of the more things that I have, the more I'll sell. I think Emily may have touched on that a little bit as well. I think that the consumer is looking for an experience where they're not confused, something that is easy for them to shop and find what they're looking for, and just having a sea of rack after rack after rack just isn't what's going to make it in our category. So I think retailers are learning that and are really looking for suppliers that can help them sort of scale down that assortment, make it become more meaningful, and make it the way that the consumer wants to shop.
That's really key then, selecting what's going to sell in their particular market. And
Yes.
that's really one of the most important parts of this whole equation, I would think.
There's no question. And each market does have its own nuances, which we're aware of. And so we sit down and really talk and develop a mix that's right for that dealer.
Margins again, you had mentioned that this is the highest margin business. Can you give us an idea? Most retailers are very, very aware of the margins they make and the various products that they sell. Give us a ballpark if you can. If they're on the fence deciding maybe ceramics where I should go, compare that with some of the other products that they're offering.
So I'll start by answering your question, and then I'm going to come back with a little follow-up to that. So I believe if you look at porcelain tile, that certainly being in the 40 to 50% margins is something that is easily achievable. And I believe that when you mix that in with installation, that you could easily be in the 32 to 35% total package range. Stone traditionally is a little bit less. Stone is a little bit less because of the nature of the product itself. A creme de marfil is a creme de marfil and a little bit more shoppable between. So I'd say maybe 4 or 5 points less for natural stone. I believe that it's certainly much greater margins than when you're seeing in hardwood. Hardwood is certainly being challenged today. And I think even carpeting, though it's grown in the average price per square foot, I believe that the margins overall installed are greater as well. Now with that said, I think one thing that retailers need to be a little cautious of is the threat of the home center stealing so much share. And we all know that retailers, shouldn't compete at the same margins as home centers, but I think there are certain products that they're going to need to get a little bit more aggressive on, not allow home centers to steal the margin, the share that they have been doing, and not be afraid to take certain products and certain categories and become a little bit more aggressive on price to allow them to get the volume revenues to have that total overall mix.
I see. But that's really key, to be able to sit down with a retailer and give them products or let them make choices in areas that are really going to help them in their market and help them compete, because that's, that's what everybody worries about, I suppose, when they stare at the ceiling at night.
No, it is, David. And if I could, I want to just expound on one more thing, which is a core philosophy of MSI. One of the things that we really value here is the concept of affordability and accessibility. And what I mean by that is that this category has been thought of for many years as only affordable by the rich. It is one of the highest square foot price categories that's sold. Our philosophy of growing market share is to really make these products more affordable to the masses. Therefore, the more people that can enjoy these products and beautify their home, the larger that the total pie will get. We also have a philosophy of making more accessible. We have 19 distribution centers throughout the U.S. We are unafraid to move product. So one of the things when we build partnerships with dealers is that whole concept of making these categories more affordable to their customers, us to ours, them to theirs, and more accessible. And I think that that's something that's really part of that partnership that we build with them, having a great mix of new products, making them more affordable for their customers, and growing share overall in that sense.
It seems like a trend among a lot of floor covering retailers, and I guess the number of floor covering retailers has diminished, especially over the last 10 years, and they tell me even over the last several years. And the ones that I think are most anxious to maintain and be here are expanding into other areas, especially non-floor covering areas, and I'm thinking about countertops.
Yes.
Countertops and cabinets is a quite popular area, and that's something that you can assist them in as well.
Absolutely. Our business was founded on the countertop business, importing slabs from all over the world. It's still a big part of our business. And there are many retailers today who are enjoying selling countertop materials. And what's interesting about it is that because of our relationship with our fabricators, we can really help them in forming partnerships where their role is to merchandise it, selling and carry the paper, and then the fabricator's job is of measuring, fabricating it, and installing it. And so we can sort of bring these two entities together to help them form this relationship without them having to get involved in fabrication or installation. And a lot of large retailers are enjoying that extra revenue today.
Are you seeing a big trend in terms of that? I mean, it seems to me it's happening.
No, I think you are, and I think that some materials, for example, quartz is the fastest selling new slab material in the marketplace. There is less variation in quartz, so the sale becomes a lot easier and a lot less trouble-free. There's also prefabricated materials where it's almost prefabricated to a standard kitchen. So the material is lending itself to having retailers now come into it. They're better at merchandising than fabricators. They carry paper already, and it's a natural for them to get involved in the countertop business.
What's your gut feeling in terms of growth in the future? I know there's a lot of retailers, some at least have in the back of their mind expanding into ceramic, stone, countertops, and some of them already have and maybe haven't made the commitment that they might. What sort of growth do you see going forward in these areas? And I guess too, in terms of market share among the various categories, that means there'll be some shifts in that. What do you see overall in that area?
Well, in terms of retailers, what we're seeing is that the small retailer is continuing to fall out in the marketplace. I think they're finding it hard to compete with the home centers. They don't have the volume or the scale to do that. But on the other hand, the larger retailers that have really explored all the different categories seem to be opening up additional stores. So I think in terms of number of stores, I project that you're going to probably see a wash, the smaller dealers falling away, the larger dealers opening new stores. But I think in terms of share, I believe the retailers are going to hang on to their share and maybe even pick up a little bit versus home centers. In terms of product categories, I anticipate that carpet will continue to lose share in the marketplace, that hard surface will continue to thrive, and I believe that ceramic and certainly stone, which stone is having a resurgence in rectangular shapes, is going to continue to grow as far as the share of the hard surface category itself.